I'm Tony Sklar with bnetTV. We are here at the GSMA NFC and Mobile Money Summit in Milan. I am having the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Tonny Omwansa and Mr. Nicholas Sullivan. How are you today?
Very good. I'm glad to be here.
Fantastic.
Very well indeed. Thanks to be here.
Fantastic. Authors of the Money Real Quick book here launching at the GSMA's conference. Why don't you gentlemen give me a brief overview of the book and what was some of the reasons for writing it?
Well, Money Real Quick, as the title says, discusses the experience of mobile money in Kenya, particularly, and then we address a few other things in other countries. We're talking about the innovation that enables money to move real quick. In Kenya, originally, people used a lot of informal methods to send money across. And, a few people started thinking together how they can use technology to enable money move a little faster. And so the original idea was to enable microfinance clients to repay their loans using mobile phones. And then when they piloted the concept, they realized that people were withdrawing money and depositing money, and they realized there is a huge opportunity in enabling money transfer. And so the mobile operator, Safaricom in this case, designed the pilot, rolled it out, and then scaled it up. And then all of a sudden, it was a big story, and we realized that we can translate that into a book. One of the objectives we have for writing the book is to, educate other mobile operators and microfinance institutions, as well as regulators and other stakeholders, on how they can deploy. What lessons can they learn from this book in order to make their deployments more effective? Because we have very many deployments across the world, but we don't have anything as similarly successful as M-Pesa in Kenya.
Nicholas, weigh in here a little bit on some of the driving forces behind writing this book.
Well, the M-Pesa is by far the most successful implementation of mobile money in the world, and there are more than 100 other implementations of mobile money, or cell phone to cell phone transfers. Everyone wants to know what the secret sauce is, what the success factors are. People have talked about there are perfect conditions in Kenya. Safaricom was the dominant market share leader and all this, but I don't think that really explains their success as much as the fact that they just kind of developed a really simple to use product that was well trusted, and they created consumer demand very fast and ramped up very quickly because they put a lot of money behind the product from the outset. And a lot of the other operators have taken small baby steps towards implementing it. And Safaricom said, this is going to be big, we're going to make it big, and put millions of dollars behind it.
Both of you are very well involved in the academia world. I know both of you hold fellowships and teach at various institutes. Did you both have a chance to enter the field and do some due diligence?
Well, my background is computing, but I've been involved in a lot of ICT for development kind of work in terms of designing products and evaluating their adoption as well as impact. So in this case, I was involved in a number of research projects on technology adoption at the base of the pyramid. So yes, from a research point of view and from a design point of view.
And of course, Nicholas?
Well, one thing we did in Kenya was we had an army of graduate students spanning the country to visit their villages and go on holidays, and looking to interact with people and talk to them about how they were using M-Pesa. So we got hundreds of stories, and we've culled them down, and each chapter now has a mini profile of a user whose life has been impacted by M-Pesa. Business people, people living in the slums, teachers, agents working for M-Pesa because they employ more than 40,000 people in Kenya, so it's a huge employment opportunity. So it's had all kinds of impacts, particularly on people in the lower income strata.
Is this a first book of its kind for this type of or this genre?
Yes, you wouldn't find any other book on M-Pesa or generally mobile money, and so we're proud to be associated with the first book on mobile money, and we hope that people will learn enough lessons out of it, and we will have an opportunity to write more on the same.
And Nicholas, if you had to choose 3 top things that you're going to get from this book, what would those be?
Well, hopefully, first of all, inspiration in reading a kind of narrative of a business that started as just a very simple idea in 2003, was developed over a period of 3 or 4 years, and then once it was implemented, took off rapidly. So it's an inspiring business story. It's an inspiring story about the impact mobile money can have on people's lives. And thirdly, there are some kind of, I think, lessons for people, other companies that want to implement in terms of strategy. And the number one thing for me is that their attention to customer dynamics, what people wanted, and consistently making it easier and easier to use, and training the agents who are selling it to interact with the customer at grassroots level. So the agents, the 30,000 agents who are selling it, have become like evangelists for the product. So it's basically an inspiring story with some strategic hints about how to implement. And of course, every country is going to be different, so it's not a cookie cutter affair by any means. But as a business story, it's one to know about and to follow.
I'm glad that you said that it's not cookie cutter, because my next question, I believe, was going to be: is this a roadmap or a guide for other countries to do some implementations of some similar force? But you said it's not cookie cutter, but is it a guide?
Well, I think it is a guide, and the conditions are different there because Safaricom does have a dominant market share, and they're a very trusted brand, as opposed to other countries where you have 3 or 4 players splitting the market up. But I think it's a guide as I said before, in their attention to consumer dynamics, customer need, and levels of literacy. And second of all, the amount of money that and force that Safaricom put behind it. They didn't try to just float it out there slowly to see what happened. They said, we're going to make this happen. And they put $30 million behind it in terms of media placement, in terms of training their agents and so forth. And I think that's really the big lesson, is they decided you have to make it, as Michael Joseph, the CEO of Safaricom, who developed M-Pesa, said, this is something in your heart, not in your head, because if you think about it too much, you'll never do it. You just have to believe it and do it. And I think that's what they did.
Well said. I can appreciate that. Final words from you, Tony?
Well, finally, one of the things that we also learned is that this is a very sticky product, in the sense that it helps reduce churning, in the sense that customers who are already in the mobile operator, find it difficult to get out because they can't get a similar product. So it's a very valuable product in that sense, and also it is it generates money for the mobile operators. So it's not just for corporate social responsibility; they make money out of it, and so there is a lot of promise. So it's win-win. Kenya now looks good. The mobile operator looks good. The regulator looks good. The consumers look good. So there is win-win opportunity for everyone, and we hope people will find key lessons. Fine, we're not saying replicate this exactly as it is in another country, but get the key lessons out of it and domesticate for the context.
Tony Omwansa and Mr. Nicholas Sullivan, thank you very much for taking the opportunity to speak with us here today. Congratulations on the launch of the book. I hope maybe another one here in the future.
Maybe so. We hope so. We're talking about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us.
Very nice. I've been speaking with the authors, Mr. Nicholas Sullivan, Mr. Tonny Omwansa of Money. Real quick, the Kenya's Disruptive Mobile Money Innovation. I'm Tony Sklar here at the GSMA NFC and Mobile Money Summit in Milan for bnetTV.